What's up, everybody? I've just kind of finished some games up, and I want to share my opinion on them. I'm going to start with the Elden Ring expansion, Shadow of the Erd Tree. I jumped into it, and it's pretty great. I'm telling you, if you love to explore and look for secrets and things like that, you'll really like it. I've kind of noticed Elden Ring. It's pretty much like Zelda, like Breath of the Wild, where you're exploring and you can go almost anywhere, and there's just a constant new discovery just around every corner, except it's a very dark world. It's not near as lighthearted as Zelda is, and it's really, really, really dark type of game. Which, if you've ever played any of the Demon Souls, Dark Souls, or Elden Ring, you know what I'm talking about. But now in this expansion, it is a very beautiful world. There are some set pieces that are just really amazing when you come out and you see some of these things. But again, it's always in a very dark atmosphere. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't really notice this when I played the first Elden Ring, but I don't know if it's the darkness of the world or maybe the tension and stress of trying to win those boss battles, because you can't really uh you can't mess up much at all. So you got that added stress. And I noticed this game, it kind of made me feel a little bit weird. I noticed I was starting to be a little short with my wife and my kids, just being short with my family. And I noticed it just, I don't know, almost like I was getting in a halfway depressed mode. So if you've got some anxiety, you may not want to play it. Of course, you know what I'm talking about, trying to beat these characters. But I did notice it put me in a kind of a weird mood. And it was the game, because as soon as I quit playing it, I popped back up where I was. So there's something about just being in that dark world and that environment and the stress of defeating those bosses without trying to make a mistake. And on that note, I've heard people talk about how hard it is. But before I jumped into the DLC, I jumped back into the main game, and I probably played it for a week before, just a couple hours each day, trying to get my skill set and all that kind of back. And I will say, I agree with folks. There are some of the bosses in this one that are just straight up ridiculous, and to me, it's not fair. Uh, Especially that last boss. When I got to him, I played him so many times, I almost was just going to quit and I wasn't going to play it anymore. But I had went so far in it that I looked some stuff up online, and I had to see, I had to change my build. I had to go back into the regular game and find things I didn't find to begin with that would help me beat that guy. Now, once I figured out what to do, I beat him really quick, which is kind of ridiculous, but it shouldn't be where you can use a build the whole time and you do fairly well with it. Most of the bosses I did okay. There was a few cheap ones, and there's a couple I haven't beat yet. I don't know if I'll go back to it. Be honest, I don't have time. And most folks, that's going to be the problem. Most folks are not going to have the time where they can go back and do that. Go back into the main game and find things and come back. It took me a lot longer to beat it. And I know people can say you can get good and all that, but I'll just be honest. Hey, I was doing fine the whole time till I got to that last guy. And there's like one or two other ones that were a little tricky. I had to change some things up. And I guess that's good, where you got to try different things within the game. But to me, I just feel like I felt like they were unfair boss battles. And some people just don't have time for that. But on that note, I did enjoy the game. I know you can find these different these souls and things that power you up. I found most of them. I think I was at like 18 when I got to that last boss, and I was still struggling with him. But that does help you explore and find things. I still had a lot of fun exploring the world. Uh, One of the things I don't really care much for Elden Ring is the story. It's hard to follow. It's hard to understand. Yes, you kind of have your main mission here, but you meet these different people, but nothing's just point blank explained to you. You end up doing weird stuff, and you don't really know why. Some people like that. They like to get online. They like to look that up. That becomes a game in itself. I don't really like that. I kind of like when the story's just presented straight to me. And I'm not gonna lie, after I beat this thing, which I know it's an expansion and it's it happens within the context of the main game. So the main game has its ending, and this isn't it. But the ending was just they could have done something better. After I beat that last guy, that they could have had a better ending than that little bitty piece I get where somebody's talking for a minute. I was very kind of disappointed in that. But overall, if you're into this, I do encourage you to try it out. It is fun. The exploration's fun. If the darkness will kind of get you a little bit. I jumped into Grand Blue Fantasy Relink after it, and it was a breath of fresh air kind of after that, and the mood lightened up, and things went back to normal. But I did have a lot of fun. It is a tough game, but if you're looking into something like that, I encourage you to try it out. We'll make another video soon. I'm gonna talk about Grand Blue Fantasy a little bit, kind of show the difference between those two games. But I personally, I recommend Shadow of the Erd Tree. If you've got the time and you've got the patience and you've got the mindset, you can have a lot of fun with it. But that's where we're at on that one. Thanks for watching. Hope you all have a great one.